Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to do an awesome upgrade to my sawmill. Last week I published a video talking about everything I've learned from my first year running a mill. And in that video, I mentioned that the one upgrade I wish I had gotten with my mill was an electric power head to raise and lower the mill. My mill is adjusted height-wise with this crank handle. And it's not the end of the world turning a crank handle. As a matter of fact, when I got the mill, I said, that's no big deal. I don't mind cranking that handle. What you find is that it slows you down more than anything. I actually tried doing an upgrade like this myself with an electric drill, a cordless drill, and I was not happy at all with the way that went. It was all the drill could do to raise and lower it. It wasn't fast, and I was afraid that putting the chuck onto this shaft right here was going to eventually wear out the end of that shaft. So I've took that off. I've just been cranking it by hand. About a week ago, I got a message on Instagram from a sawyer who watches my videos, and he said he has designed and built a unit that is not only a better power head, but it has a digital readout so that you can know you're making precise cuts. He asked me if I wanted to try it out, and I said absolutely. The guy who designed this is Josh Byers from the company Byers Timber Tech. And he had a great story when I talked to him on the phone that he was earning his living with a manual mill like this. And I've speculated that it's almost impossible to earn a living with one of these, but he was doing it. He had also innovated so much that he had almost turned his manual mill into a fully automated mill. So I'll put a link to his website and a video about his sawmill so you can check those out. In the meantime, we're going to get this installed and see how well it works. Now, I mentioned my previous attempt was just taking this handle off and putting a drill on there. And there's a little shaft that sticks out of this. And I think there are other options you can buy that mount on that shaft, and it's just an electric motor. And Woodland Mills has their own. I don't know much about the one from Woodland Mills because I've never actually seen it. But this design does not mount on the end of the shaft. It replaces this entire shaft right here. So the mill is raised and lowered with cables right here. There's a cable on each side. Those cables route around to a double pulley right here. And the way this new system works is we remove this shaft with the handle. We take those double pulleys, we put them on our new power head. And it's a continuous unit from those pulleys all the way out here. And in my mind, without being an engineer, that seems like a better design. So I'd be thrilled if it was just a power head that saved me from cranking that handle. But the fact it's got that digital readout on it takes it to another level. Josh told me that it's a 5-minute install. We're about to find out, but it looks like about 3 bolts. So let's get this done real quick. Okay, we've taken one bolt out right here that braces this cylinder on. The next bolt we remove goes through this pulley, and I think this pulley goes back where it was, but there's a tab under it that needs to be removed. It's like a 17 millimeter and a 19 millimeter so far. Okay, so far so good. So we've got one bolt here that removes these 2 pulleys. So here's our new power head. Here's the readout. It's got the same tabs that the old one had, so we're just going to put it back in place. So the bearings go on this long bolt, but I went ahead and put it on first just to hold the unit up in the air while I got the other 2 bolts on. And we're going to tighten those down, then I'll put the bearings on. Now, as is usually the case, I'm not making any money from demonstrating this product, but I do have a discount code that'll save you guys 5% if you want to buy one. And while it's not cheap, I would say it's very competitively priced compared to anything else out on the market. You can pick this up for about $400 and take 5% off with my discount code. I don't know if that includes shipping or not. There are really only 2 steps left. The next thing we need to do is take these adjustments off and put them onto the new power head. Now, as I think about this, these 2 cables are used to level the mill head out. So anytime you do anything to these, you're going to have to re-level the mill, which is no big deal. It's just a matter of taking a couple measurements and adjusting this until it's the same height on each side. So that's the full mechanical install. The electrical install consists of putting this one wire right here onto the positive of the battery. It's grounded through the frame. So it's one wire. I should probably read some instructions, but I'm just going to start pushing buttons. It says off, on, cut depth 0. That's up 3 15/16. There we're up 4 inches. So now we're going to take some measurements and see if we can level the mill out side to side. And when this says 4 inches, that's not relative to anything. That is 4 inches from where it started. This setup does not zero to the base of your mill. It zeroes to wherever you reset it. And I think this is a reset button. Okay, so now we're at 0. So if I have a cant, and I've made this square cant, or I just cut off my first slab, and I want to cut from that point, I zero it, then I go however far from there. And I kind of like that. We are 3.5 inches on this side, 3 9/16 on that side. So we need to let that side down, which means lengthening it out, which is unscrewing the cable for that side, which would be this one. One important thing to keep in mind on this particular mill, I don't know if it's the same with all mills, but there are bushings right here, these white things, that kind of squeeze on the vertical post. And what that means is that if I adjust this down 1/8 of an inch, it's not going to just drop real quick. Now, when you're letting it down, it may come down slowly and jerky. When you're raising up, it's under tension, it's going to come up the right amount. So whether you're using a crank handle or a power head or making your adjustments, always bring it up and check it. Don't ever lower it down and then check it. So I'm going to make some adjustment, then I'm going to raise the power head and measure. So now I've adjusted this until it's level, but I need to know if I'm getting an accurate number of how far it actually travels. So right now it's set at 5 inches. So we're going to zero this and say 0 is 5 inches above the deck. 5 inches. I've zeroed it. We're going to go up 1/2 an inch. Okay, that's 1/2 an inch. 5 1/2. So now we're at 3 inches. Let's go all the way down. Let's say we're cutting 4 inches off this at a time. There's 0. There's minus 1 1/8 inches. I've found that just bumping this takes you up 1/16. There's minus 1 1/16 inches. 1 inch. Well, I ran it up and down a bunch of times. I'm getting the same consistent measurement every time. And that's all you can ask for. This seems like it's going to be a big improvement. Like with anything else, only time will tell. How long does it last? How well does it do on the battery? The guy who makes these told me that this does exceptionally well, and I'll never have to worry about the battery, especially if I just remember to turn it off when I'm done. So now we're going to let it all the way down. We're 10 inches up in the air, so it'll take a second. Now we got slack in our cables. We always shut it off with slack in the cables. and then shut it off. So that was a very easy install. I love the story of an individual who had a sawmill similar to this one, who decided to start a business making accessories to make the operator experience better. I'll put a link in the description of the video and the pinned comment telling you where you can get this and the discount code to save you 5%. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.